Yeah, we are creating URL request here, URL session, and on top of session, we need to call resume. Here we are simply handling the response what we have got. We are getting, we either get data or error. Response always you get. Response contains the status code. Status code means whether it is successful or failure. The status code 200 or 400, or you can also identify the what type of error you are getting. If it is not 200. Here we are checking for error. If error is nothing, nil, we got some information. I'm printing that information and passing the information here. Passing the information here and displaying the JSON object. You can say JSON object. Displaying JSON object here. JSON object. If it is failed to convert our information, the data into the object to see objects, it is failed. If it is failed, there we are printing error. Okay, let me show you this. Yeah, let's run this. I'm just giving 2 here. Fetch user. It came from where it has come. You can see from here. It calls from view controller fetch user info. From here it is called. What is the starting? App.main. App.main is the starting point of the application. Okay. Anyways, come here. Let's see. Endpoint. Our string is ready. And what is the string? Also, you can see /2 at the end. And URL request, we are converting the string into the URL request. URL request is ready. You can also print the URL request if you want. URL request. This is the URL request. It contains several things. HTTP body, HTTP header fields. What is the method name? By default, the method name HTTP method is get. By default, it is get. Okay. The URL is, this is the URL. All these things we can set. Depends upon requirement. Okay, depends upon requirement. Authorization also you can see HTTP header fields. For this, you need to set the authorization if you want to send something. Anyways, ignore that. And we are preparing the URL session, and we are using URL session.shared.data task to send the request to the server. Sending here, when you call resume, the server request will be sent, and the data also got. Data is printed here. This is what the data which we have got. This is the data which we have got. Okay. You can see the avatar here. This is image. Even we try to pull the image today. This is the image. Okay, we got the response, right? This is understandable, but this is not understandable. When you print data, it is nothing. It is simply bytes. When you convert the data into the JSON object, then it is converted into object to see dictionary. Key value pair. Key is data. Value is again dictionary. Key is support. Value is again dictionary. Okay, this is the information which we have got. This is one way of doing. What we need to do? Again, we need to convert the data what we are having here into models. We have created a student, right? We have created car. We have created phone, school. Those are actually data representations. We need to represent the user information. The user information by this is user information, right? Let me create a model as well. User. This is the user model. User contains struct user. User contains 2 keys. One is data, another one is support. Let data. This is a dictionary. This is how we need to prepare models. This is one dictionary. For each dictionary, you need to take separate structure. Struct support. Basically, we got some raw dictionary. We can also use the raw dictionary also. Okay. First thing what I want to do, I don't want to convert that into the models. Now we got the information. I want to display the information from where we are calling the method. From here, we are calling the method, right? From view controller, we are calling a method. And let me go to this. There is two. I'm fetching the information. See, if you clearly observe that, first, start is printed. Then we are calling the request. Again, done is printed. Then the response received. Then the response received. Assume that this is second time number 1. We're calling 2 here. We're calling 3 here. These are the 1, 3, 1, 2, 3 actually. This is assume that this is task 1, this is task 2, this is task 3. The output is like this, right? 1, 3, 2. This information is fetched later. What happened here to hit the server and fetch the information, there is some delay, but the control is not waiting for the information to pull from the server. It just called and came back. This executes the closer. This is a closer. This executes on the background. This executes on the background. Let me clarify that as well. If thread is main thread, else print background thread, print main thread, run it. Thread is 2. See if I am correct or not. Background thread. The closures are running on the background thread. Remember, the closures runs on the background thread. Interval ఏమడినా కూడా మీ దగ్గర proof ఉండాలి. You need to have the proof to show them. Okay, the closures runs on the background thread. Here, we got the response into the HTTP client class. We need to move that back to the view controller so that I can display the information on the user interface. On user interface, I can display on the label, on the text field again. I want to display the username here. How to do that? We can do that in 2 different ways. One is by using delegation. Another one is by using closures. Delegation and closure. Shall we use delegate first? Let me create one delegate here. Delegate means protocol only. Same concept which we have followed for recently, which we have followed for some passing the text. Okay. User info delegate. Protocol user info delegate. Here, what I want is we want to send the information about the user, right? We are getting some information here. We are getting some information. Again, this is we can also say as string and any. I'm converting that into the dictionary. I'm just checking that whether it is a dictionary or not. If it is dictionary, then only take it. Now, what we can do is here we can write a method func user info fetched, or else did fetch user info. We need to call this method when user receives the information and user info, which is string and any. This is the method. Did fail fetching user info. Error is error. These are the 2 methods. I'm calling a request. Once you call a request, what happens? You either get success or failure. You may get success or you may get failure. Now, what I do is I'll just write that here. Delegates are weak, right? Weak where delegate is after user info delegate. Optional. I'm not doing anything here. I'm just passing whoever is calling my whoever is calling whoever is using HTTP client, they also need to implement this protocol. That's it. Extension, view controller, user info delegate. You need to follow, you need to implement those two methods. Since you are calling delegate equal to self, then use the same thing. You're setting the delegate and using this, implement the methods. Couple of things, it involves many things actually when you are doing requesting user info, pulled, failed, failed. I'm just printing error, whatever I'm getting. That's it. We are sending our view controller object to the HTTP client. That's it. From HTTP client, we can call the method. I want to call a method from the view controller of HTTP client. So I'm creating object here. Shared object I'm accessing and calling this. Similarly, I want to call these two methods. When there is success, I want to call this method. When there is failure, I want to call this method of view controller. To call the view controller methods from somewhere else, which is HTTP client here, you need to have that object. So we're passing that object self, we are passing, that's it. Here in HTTP client must not be an non. Where we need to call that delegate question mark did fail, pass the error. In case of error, I'm notifying delegate means in this case view controller something is failed. This is the error, and similarly we need to pass the object delegate fetch user info. User info is just an object. I'm passing JSON object. You can see the JSON object type. This is string and any. And here we are trying to call access self means use the weak self. Weak self, so that you have to use self question mark, self question mark, self question mark. Instead of printing the JSON object here, what I do is I'm redirecting my response, redirecting my response to the view controller, whoever is called me. I'm just sending them. View controller is the one who called fetch user info. I'm just sending them back success or failure. Clear? What is the C? What is the error? Here, if you are sure we get error, this is error. Yeah. If error is equal to not nil, means we are just forcing, no problem. Catch is unreachable. Whenever you're using catch, question mark is not required. We're handling, whenever you're not handling, you need to do the question mark. Otherwise, not required. We'll see error handling is important. We see that concept. User info 2. I'm not printing here. I'm just redirecting the response, whatever I get from the server to HTTP client to the view controller. On view controller, this is printed user information pulled. This is one way of using delegate. Already we have seen delegate. Same procedure. You just need to send the object of current view controller to the HTTP client. Okay. In case failure, also see, assume that 244, maybe this user is not there. User info pulled, which is, it is not giving you the error, it is giving empty data. Empty data we got here. Empty data we got here. When you, let's say, this is not there. Some random URL which is not there. I'm just giving 2, 3 here. What happened? Users 33. Right. 33. I'm giving E invalid user ID. Let me take the number. 33. Yeah. It is giving you user info pulled that is converted into the dictionary. We got some information which is empty for non for invalid user ID is also we're getting empty. Okay, it completely depends on what the server is sending. Is this clear? If this is clear, we'll move to the closer part. How to implement the same thing by using closer. Shall I repeat it? Basically, there are two classes here. One is view controller, another one is HTTP client. The purpose of HTTP client is to handle the API requests. Handling API requests. View controller purpose is to call the API from the HTTP client and get the information and display it. We are displaying here on the console. Mainly, we display this on user interface. On user interface. Okay, we are getting the response here. I have a method here. We have followed 5 steps. We have a endpoint here. By using URL request, I'm preparing a request. By URL session, I'm sending the request by using resume. Once you send the request, server processes the request and prepares the response and sends back to the client. Our application is the client, where we are either it is data, response, or error. You might get a response, you might get error. So I'm just checking whether it is a main thread or not to just show you closest runs on the background thread. And if error equal to nothing, means you got some data. I am taking that data and using JSON serialization class and converting that into the string and any. Why only string and any? Why not only strings? Why not only arrays? It depends upon the response what we get. I know what response I get here. This is the response which I get. This is a key value pair dictionary. That is the reason I used string and any. Why I have not used string and string? Because the keys are string here. The values are not strings. That is the reason I have used any. Any means it can be string, array, dictionary, or anything. Okay. Once you got the response, we are also while initializing HTTP client, whoever is using the view HTTP client, we are also setting delegate. If there is something which needs to be delivered to me, take my object and deliver by using my object to call a few methods and deliver. There are 2 methods which we have implemented and we are calling them. This is very, very important. People tries to forget to set the delegate. You will also definitely face this scenario. You will forget to set the delegate and you tries to expect the data. Does not work because delegate equal to nil. Even if you call delegate equal to delegate fetch user information, since the delegate is nil, the call never executes. This is called optional chaining. Self is again optional, delegate is optional, and on top of that, you're calling a method. If any of these links becomes nil, the entire function is the entire line of code is invalid. Invalid means nothing, nil. Here, in case of success, I am calling success method. In case of failure, I am calling fail method. Resume to start the request. Once you get the response here to the view controller, we can display it on the console. Sorry, we're displaying it on the console. We can display it actually on the user interface. Let us try to display it on the user interface. What exactly the here? This is the JSON, right? This is dictionary actually. What is the name here? First name. To access the first name, first we need to access the data and first name. Let's try that and print it. Here, if let data equal to user info data, comma, let username name equal to data of, here we are getting any, we need to convert this as string and any. Okay. In data, we are having a key. What is first name? which is which is string. Okay, once you got everything, then text field we are having, right? Text field you got text equal to name. Try this. See the wonders. Still there is some issue. Anyways, let's try 3. What is the issue here? This is in background thread, right? Closure is in the background thread. We are calling that. Whenever you are trying to access the user interface components from the background thread only, we are calling user info fetched. On background thread itself, we are calling user info fetched. What is the error here? UA label, UA text field set text is performing on background thread, terminating called on the may only be called from the main thread. You are using background thread to set the update the user interface, which is not for allowed. Only use the background. What is the main thread? The main thread is for specifically dedicated for UI operations, right? Specifically dedicated for UI operations. Now what we need to do, the operation, whatever we are doing here, let's make this dispatch queue.main, move this entire thing to the main and perform. Okay, this is what we need to do. Or else from here also you can do. Wherever you are sitting here, we can use dispatch queue.main.async. Only this line of code can put. 3. Yamma. 2. Janet. Okay. 100 means nothing, I guess. Nothing. There are only 12 users actually. Byron. Clear, there is no issue here now. Okay, there is no issue here. We are updating user interface on main thread. How we are moving to the main thread from background thread. This is how yesterday we have seen switching from background thread to main thread. This is how we can switch. Now it is now I want to access the last name. Again, I need to follow the same thing. I want to access something support. Again, same thing you need to follow. Check, multiple checks. I don't want to use the multiple checks. I don't want to use the multiple checks. Now what we can do, we can convert the response into some objects. The object is, in our case, that is user. The response. Now I want to use it in the form of objects. Let's create our objects. Start user. This is the input method. Support is one key we are having. You can see from here. Support is one key. Data is another key. Okay. First, let me create for each dictionary. You need to create separate structure. Data, which is containing let ID. Same things you need to use. ID is integer. It is not in the double quotations. So int let email, which is string. Let first name again string. Let last name again string. Let avatar is again string. Also, we are having one more structure, one more dictionary. Support. Support contains URL and text. Let you need to use the same keys. You can also use different keys here, but in case of codable, you need to use same keys. And user, the entire object contains 2 keys, data and support. Let me do that. Data is data type. Let support is support type. That's it. Our data models are ready. User contains 2 keys. Each key is again dictionary. So again, you need to create separate structure. This holds the dictionary. This holds support. We're having init, right? By default, it contains initializer, right? The initializer here is init data is data type and support is of support type. What we can do is how to do this, how to do this. Basically, we can use some kind of wrappers you can use. Yeah, this is actually user data representation. JSON mappers, 50 JSON or third-party libraries we can use to directly map the information. Directly map the information into this. Anyways, here what I do is I'll just put func fill information, and we get information is what is string and any whatever we are getting from the server. I'm just taking that. Now, same thing when you do if let whatever things it has ID is from info. I'm taking ID, which is consider this as an integer, or else what we can do is let here data equal to data of how to do this just if let we're getting user info, we need to fill these two fields, data and support. Data equal to data of ID. It is asking from info. I am taking ID. Consider this as integer. We know is definitely integer. And email. Email, which is a string. First name, which is a string. Last name, which is string. Avatar, which is string. Avatar equal to, I'm just taking the keys. I'm just pulling the information at last name equal to last name. Email is string, 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 string. Yeah. What is this? Yeah, perfect. Data object is filling. Similarly, support object we need to fill. Support URL. How to get URL? Actually, here we will not get ID actually. Let data user data equal to info lo nunchi I am taking the data which is string and any. If you use raw methodology, we need to follow all these things. We can avoid all these things. I'll tell you how to avoid this, all these things. User data. User data lo nunchi email, first name, last name, avatar. So user data. User data nunchi we are taking ID, we are taking first name, we are taking last name, we are taking avatar. User data is ready now. What is this? Let's make it pair. Similarly, variable support. Now, from if let support data equal to from user info, what is this? Data count, self-creating multiple. All these things. Anyways, Let me do this from there itself. I'm just removing all these things. By default, structure provides you the default initializer, right? I'm just trying to utilize them instead of writing extra methods. This is our structure. Wherever you're getting the response from here, what I do is I'll create the objects from user info. I'm taking data here. I'm taking data here, and from let's support data equal to user info support. Again, it is string and any. Let data, let support equal to support object we have. It has a URL and something. Support data, from data URL, take the URL, which is a string, and text support data dot text, which is again string. Now let me create a user equal to user contains data. In the data I'm passing data, in the support I'm passing support. When you what we are doing, we are getting raw dictionary. From the raw dictionary we are creating data. Support data text. What is this? Yeah. Support data we are getting, data we are getting, support we are getting. There are two variables which we are passing to create a user. Now text field we have, right? Text field at text. It is very simple to use now. User data first name. Now we can access this way instead of writing if conditions. Instead of writing if user info data first name, we can directly call user dot data dot first name. Same thing happens now. Same thing happens, but only we converted the raw dictionary into a objects, user objects. Raw dictionary user info is a raw dictionary into actual objects of Swift. Okay, actual objects we have created. Any doubts here? We can see the closures. How to use the closures tomorrow? Already.